the same roads every day. We both get there our own way. Thistle and an apple tree, how different two souls can be. But we both grow from the same sorrow. If we both know we'll be together tomorrow, I can be.
Hey folks, welcome back to Jerome B. Farm and Homestead. It's September 2nd, 2024, Labor Day weekend. And man, it's a beautiful day. It was 70 degrees this morning. It's almost noon. I imagine it's about 75, 80-ish. But we have cloud cover and a nice breeze out of the north. So we had a little northerly come through and cool things off, which is great. It's been so dang hot the last couple of weeks, a lot of days over 100, and I just have neglected to get down here and do videos and inspections. I've been keeping up with my little hive, you know, to make sure it's got some syrup on it, make sure that Wildflower Meadows queen is getting by. And I did have on the side of Hive 4, a little ball of bees on the side of it, and I was like, man, that looks like a little swarm. And I figured there might be a virgin queen in there, and I got me an old brood comb frame and stuck under there and got them on there and put them in one of those 7-frame nukes on 1/2 side, so 3 frames. And sure enough, there's a little queen in there. I checked it a week ago. She's still in there. I shook some more bees in because they look just low population. And because of the low population, they probably weren't able to keep it cool like they needed to, and all that heat, and I think it may have damaged so the brood frame. I put a brood frame in there with them, a cap brood. So need to get in there and see if that cap brood is emerging any, and if the extra bees I shook in there is enough, or if it's just a total loss. It's probably a total loss. I just can't let those little swarms go and with the little queens. I just want to save them all. But I just, you know, you can't do it. This time of year, we call them suicide swarms. So today I'm going to get in, I'm going to check that little suicide swarm and also the little hive number 10 with the Wildflower Meadows queen. Make sure they're okay. And then I'm just going to start going through and doing queen right checks. It's time to do that. It was actually time to do that 2 weeks ago, but I just didn't do it because I'm a wimp and I can't do it in the heat. And having the time to get it done, all of that. So as a result of my negligence, I have discovered 2 hives. One was last weekend. I got down, I found a hive that the wax moths had just demolished it. It was the most disgusting wax moth hive I've ever seen, full of webs. And just yesterday, my friend from Bixby that I brought I took the hive to him in the spring and helped him get going. He came down and we did a couple of inspections together, just, you know, to teach him. And a lot of things he was doing, I was like, whoa, easy. You know, he was like moving frames around real fast and putting frames together real fast. And I was like, hey, so I was explaining how to do those kind of things. Anyway, come across another hive that is just roached out with wax moths, so the larvae. Yeah, so I don't know the cause of that. Usually it's a queen failure and you don't catch it. The population gets down. They can't defend 20 frames of, you know, comb in there, and the wax moths move in, lay eggs, larvae take over, and that's it. It's too late. And it seems like it has happened so fast. But I try and get down here. I look at the hives on the entrances. If I see good activity, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Not always though, so yeah, these 2 snuck up on me. We'll show you the one over here. I got the box sitting up there. It's just disgusting. So what do you save, what do you cull? It's just, Cayman Reynolds did a video on it last week, I think, about don't throw away your wax moth frames that are ate up. Here's what to look for and what you can save, and I'll show you that on this. And then, so if I've got time in this video, which this intro is probably half of it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm gonna start doing my queen right checks. So let's get started. So the plums count in the trees is looking good. These little, I call them possum plums. They're mostly seed. So there's a lot more on the ground now than there were last week, or 2 weeks ago when I shot my last video. These ones down on the ground are kind of purplish. The ones up in the tree are red. They're not bad, you know, add sugar to them, but you don't get much fruit for all your labor. Yeah, so here's Hive 9, the wax moth disaster. Ugh, look at that. The most disgusting creatures. Oh my God. Anyway, and this Hive 10 we're going to get in. I'm going to get in this second. Let's go get in that little tiny swarm from Hive 4. So Hive 4 is right over here. And I did a queen right check on this because that swarm was right there under the lid. It's about a softball sized swarm. So my friend and I, we checked this hive, and I left the brick on there because I want to give it another round of feed, just to give him a little bit of a boost. But yeah, there's larvae in there, so we've got us a laying queen. All right, let's get around the corner. Okay, so here's the north end, and here's the tiny swarm hive number 24, and I don't see any bees coming and going out there. That's not a good sign. So 23, lost that hive. Not sure, I don't remember what exactly happened. And but the wax moths didn't get it. And 25 down there, that empty spot right there, that one was just horrible. It was worse than the one I just showed you. It was at least twice as bad. They worked on that a long time. So let's get into this tiny swarm hive and see. I might mark this queen, I don't know. I'm afraid they got baked. And get your Hive Alive tools at hivealive.com if you want to be cool like Jerome Bee Farm. Hey, one thing about them, they're great, but man, they're so bright, I see them everywhere. I thought I could still lose them, but I haven't lost one yet. The hive tool's never lost, it's just misplaced for a long time. There goes all the black ants are running. So they're up here after that nectar. Yeah, that's full of black ants that are drowned. And a few red ones. Yummy, yummy. So this keeps the ants from being able to get in there. But the ants can't get in here, and they can get through these little cracks, and they get in there and they drown. Hopefully we've got a hive to look at in here. Oh yeah, there's some bees. I was afraid of the ants. So those big black ants, if your hive can't defend them at the entrance, they will come in there and they will pull larvae out of the comb and carry them off. They are mean. I think they're actually called a carpenter ant, and they will sting the crap or bite the crap out of you. I'm not sure what it is, but it's painful. So got bees, okay. A little bit of nectar being stored here. Let me get you closer. Which that's good. So a little bitty hive like this, you don't want to give them a bunch of empty space they have to defend. So I've got my divider board in here. See, this side's empty. So it's a 3-frame split nuke, whatever you want to call it, with our little queen. And I did bring my marker, so I'm going to try and mark her if I find her, because she is a dark butt queen, and I'll have a hard time seeing her in the future. Yeah, it's good and primed. You want your tip wet, so you don't have to like rub a hole in the back side of your queen just to get some ink out. Yeah, there's a good amount of nectar stores in there. That's good. So I don't need to feed them anymore for a little while. They probably could use a little sliver of a pollen patty if this queen's going to lay, if she got mated. She was definitely a virgin queen. And mating this time of year is not the greatest. They don't get mated very well around here. So this is a donor brood frame. So this brood's going to start emerging, which looks like some of it has. Some of these bees, like this one right here, kind of on the lighter colored side. So they've emerged. I don't see that queen on this side, which she could have been there and I just overlooked her. I don't see her here either. That's not good. Oh, I spotted her. Gosh, she is so hard to see. There she is. See that dark butt? Kind of a tiger butt. I have the hardest time finding those queens. She looks mated as well. She's not short and stubby anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and mark her. I'm going to pick her up with my fingers and I'm going to put this frame back in there. There, got her. Have to be very careful. Don't want to squeeze. Got her dot on her. Whoa! I was going to put her up the camera, but she got out of my hand. So normally with my queen catcher tool, I can let that dry, but when you do it like that, you just want to get them back in there. Reduce the trauma on them. Well, this looks okay. I'm going to go grab some pollen patty. Come right back, and I'm going to give them a little bit of feed in this, not much. Okay, so got my pollen patty. Let's see if I can just cut a piece off with some scissors here, because the knife wasn't working so well. It was like pulling the wax paper off. That worked great. Now I did lose the bottom. That's okay. Yeah, so that's all I'm giving them, just a little sliver. Might see if I can stick that back on there. So you got to watch out for small hive beetle larvae this time of year, especially on a little hive like this. They can get in there and they'll lay their eggs in this, and then it'll be full of those little maggot larvae. I'll put the soft side down that wasn't to the outside. There we go. Right over that brood. Oh, only the edges are exposed. I need to clean this off. Get all these nasty ants out. So when that gets full of ants like that, the juices out of those ants kind of makes that syrup go rancid and they won't eat it. But it's emptied out though. But maybe the ants drank it all. Kind of weird. But we know the bees got quite a bit because we saw where they started to store it. So they've got everything they need now, except time is not on their side. So basically this queen is going to be a banked queen. If I find another queenless hive, I can just grab this queen right here and just introduce her on that frame right there with that brood and save a hive. But she's got to get laying. So it's probably a little early for her to be laying, but she should start pretty soon if she's mated. And I think she is. All right, let's get us some sugar in there. So I'm gonna fill this about half full. All right, so I created a little controversy, and someone commented, I think it was Russell, about, hey, that's not 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1. So this is light syrup. It's less than 1-to-1, meaning there is more water than sugar. So if you say water to sugar ratio, it's about 1.5-to-1, which if you do the math, it's really 1.3-to-1. And if you say it the other way, sugar to water, it's like 0.75-to-1. So to be clear, it's light syrup, it's less than 1-to-1. And the way I made it was 25-pound bag of sugar, split into 2 buckets and 2 gallons in each, which it probably could have been 2.5 gallons in each to make it really 1.5 to 1. But y'all go do the math and figure that out. All right, tiny swarm, do your thing. Okay, here at Hive 10, next to roached out number 9. I need to go check the history on that number 9. You know, was that a 2-year, 3-year-old queen? What was the deal? And I'm pretty sure there were at least 2 honey supers on that. I'm gonna go back and look. So our pollen patty feeder area still has some pollen patty in there, looks like. And I'm not gonna smoke these because I don't want my queen to run off. Well, she's marked, I don't need to mark her. So there's a little bit of pollen patty left. Don't see any small hive beetle larvae. So since we have this much left, I'm not gonna put any more in there. So they got plenty. She likes it anyway. So this is the new Apame feeders I got 3 of them. So there's a little bit of liquid left, 1/4 inch on this side. There's a few ants in there, but not too many. And they're the little ants. I'm gonna go ahead and smoke these bees in this feeder area down so I can lay this back in there. All right, move this aside. So we hopefully will see some of our capped brood from this queen that has begun to emerge, and their populations start getting towards the right side. One thing about those feeders is you need a place to set them where you can just set it on the ends and leave the bottom untouched. Don't lay it flat on a flat surface because there's bees underneath it. You'll smash a bunch of bees. So I just set it on a rock over there so it's kind of leaning. So we still got our 6 frames, and this hive I'm trying to get it built up strong enough. I'll start adding frames of drawn comb that I have, and as their population gets stronger and the fall flow kicks in, they'll start bringing in stuff on their own and filling this up and getting themselves set for winter. So the bees that are emerging now will probably be winter bees. They have a little bit different physiology to survive winter and not be foragers. There's just barely a little bit of nectar in there that they've stored, sugar water, which that's been the case the last 4 weeks, and I've not added any frames because of that. They don't need any space that they can't cover themselves and protect. So here's some emerging. We got a few larvae that look kind of dry, not very many, but there's a few that don't look healthy, but some have emerged. You can see a few of those that are uncapped. It's like they're not quite right, and they're not. So here's what I'm seeing right here. So this is all aged about the same, and there's a few empty cells like right in there, and they have larvae in them. But there's a few that the larva in there looks dried out. Try and find one like that one right there, for example. I don't know, it just looks a little dry to me. There's not many like that. So this is actually a do-over because my mic quit. I just put batteries in it and it quit. So I must have grabbed bad batteries. So this here frame has a lot of open larvae where she still has been laying. And she was on this frame a minute ago. I'll give you a shot from the video where there was like no audio so you can see her, but this is the same. she's backfilled all this center that's emerged. So our population should be coming up now, because we have all these bees right in here emerge. And these on this ring here are going to start emerging next. And she is not there anymore. She's like, not again. And this is a frame that was, oh, there she is. This is a frame that was drawn comb they weren't using, and I put it between two of the brood frames. This here's a brood frame as well. So she would get on here and start to lay. Give her a little bit more space with the few frames that she has. So there she is right there. Wildflower Meadows, VSH Italian. But she's not laying on here. This is mostly nectar. All nectar from the feeder. So Bob Benny just did a video last week, I think it's 8 days old. I saw it today. He talks about the different breeds of bees, honeybees. Italian, Carnolian, Caucasian. He mentioned a couple of others and their tendencies, and what was really interesting, he told where they came from, like where in Europe they were developed. And he said the Italians that we started out with weren't really yellow bees in the golden color, they were more darker. And he said over 40 years of selective breeding, they picked lighter bees every time to graft from, and they developed the genetics lighter colored over time. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, this hive looks good for what it is right now. I've got all of September and October. I can still be feeding and supplementing them. They're slowly growing, which I don't need a big cluster going into winter. I just need a good size, healthy cluster. It needs to be probably 2 to 3 more bees times of the bees what we've got here now. Enough to cover at least 8 frames and have 2 frames out on the edge that are full. So once their population gets stronger, they'll start collecting more nectar out of the feeder, fake nectar, and getting it stored away for winter. And when it starts cooling off, like in the October time frame, I can feed them 2 to 1, 2 parts sugar to 1 part liquid. And that's a heavy syrup, and they store that right away. They don't do much with it other than just store it away. And they don't try to build comb or anything like that. This lighter nectar, they will store it, but they can also build comb with it, but there's no place to build comb in here because it's all drawn out. So let's get the feeder back on here and get this closed up. All right, so we still got our little bit of pollen patty there. I don't think they need any more than that. Don't want to risk the beetles. All right, that's it. Be sure and get your hive tool. Check my links below to Hive Alive and Apamay if you like that feeder. I really like that feeder. It keeps the big ants out, which is a good thing. And there's a 10% discount on these, I think, if you use my link down there. And that's an affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any more, but I get a little bit of commission off of it. I don't even know how much it is. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was informational, taking care of these small hives. That little one over there is just going to be a bank queen, basically. I don't have aspirations of overwintering that. It's just not something that's going to happen. It's not very likely it would survive. So there are some things we could do with stacking hives and double screens and things like that, which we could do, but chances are I'm going to need her here in the fall. So give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. We'll catch you on the next beekeeping video. Y'all take care.
Together we can be like the trees in the wind, same old roots but we can bend, learning to understand and sway together.